If you have a true stranger scary story you'd like to see on the channel, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send it my way. And of course, thankins. This was a few years ago. For context, I've gone hiking with my dog a lot. Off-leash, out in the boonies. We have a really good system, and there have been moments where he dashes off for a little while and comes back within a few minutes. Every time he has run away, I either see where he's taken off to, or I hear his collar, which seems to have 1,000 tags on it. I can always hear him traipsing off through the brush, and like I said, he always comes back. Well, on this particular day, we were doing a hike in the Olympics in Washington. It was outside of cell range, and there weren't that many people on the trail or in the parking lot. Doggo and I start the hike, and I swear we're only 10 minutes into the hike when I just stop hearing him. He was right beside me and slightly behind me. Collar tags jingling, when I just stopped hearing the jingle jangle altogether. We were surrounded by dense forest, and there is no sound of brush being crashed through. He's nowhere, just gone. I'm not panicked, although weirded out that I can't tell where he is. I call his name and just pause on the trail and wait. Time starts to pass. He's not anywhere. I can't sense a thing. 10 minutes go by, then 20, then 30. An hour goes by. Now I have a knot in my stomach. What do I do? I've been calling for him. I go a little up the trail, call some more. Eventually I decide that maybe he went down to the car. So I begin my walk to the parking lot. My hopes are getting higher as I near the lot, but my heart drops when all I see is the mostly empty lot with my car and one other in it. No dog. I look under the cars. No dog. There was no other place an animal could hide. I decided to go to the message board / map area in a corner of the parking lot to leave a note and continue looking for my dog. I turn to the board and realize I need paper from my car, and turn back around to my car, and bam, who is sitting right behind me all of a sudden but my 60-something pound boy who looks just as surprised as I do. I drop to my knees crying and he gives me a huge hug. I've never seen him look so relieved in his life. His collar tags jangling away. His eyes were wide as hell, and I hope that if you've read this, you understand the glitch, because this has never happened before or since, despite chasing after animals or wandering off for a little while. I'm telling you, that parking lot was empty. And yes, he is still thriving as a dog. I just found out about this subreddit, and I'm very happy and excited that I might finally get some feedback on something that I have no explanation for. Here is what happened. In 2017, I worked at a fair as a garbage man. My job was to remove every piece of metal and wood before and after any event. The area had 10 halls in total. I was working with one other colleague, his name was Tom, on 2 out of the 10 halls. The other 8 halls were being worked on by my coworkers. When working these halls, it's usually a 10-hour shift from late evening until early morning. So, me and my coworkers start to work. We worked a little, took a break, worked a little, and so on. At one point, the halls were still full of metal and wood, and we took a pretty long break, and we just lost track of time. When we realized how much time had passed, how much work we still had left, we rushed back in one of the halls. Everything was cleaned up. Both halls. It wasn't me or Tom. The last time we left the halls, they were full with wood and metal. I know for a fact it wasn't any of my coworkers. And during the night, there are very few people even roaming the area in the first place. The only people even allowed on the premise are Alba, my company, Diaz, a second company mopping the floors, and doing other type of cleaning after we remove the heavy stuff, and then security. My coworkers had more than enough to do cleaning their own halls. The Diaz guys don't clean up anything that is big or wood or metal, and, well, the security guys don't clean anything at all. The long break that me and Tom took must have been around 2 hours, estimation. In other words, we left the halls, everything full with metal and wood, returned approximately 2 hours later, and everything was clean. Any explanation is appreciated. P.S. After we saw what we saw, keep in mind we had nothing to do anymore since everything was cleaned. We were in such disbelief that the best explanation we had was that our boss saw the halls, realized we didn't clean anything, and then killed us in rage. And what we're experiencing now is some kind of afterlife. It was obviously meant as a joke, but for a second I wanted to believe that just so I could have any explanation. About a month ago, I had a doctor's appointment and planned to go to the grocery store on my way home. The night before that, my husband had used my debit card to fill the car with gas, so I had to grab it out of his wallet. No big deal. I put it in my wallet right away, kissed him goodbye, and hopped in the car. He saw me take the card and put it in my wallet. He even mentioned that he was going to remind me to do that. When I got to my doctor's office, I took my wallet off of my keychain and dropped it in the center console. I didn't have pockets, and I don't carry a purse, so I just wanted my key. This is my usual routine. Not weird, not new, not unique. I get out and lock my car like normal. The car screams because my husband's key is in the car and you can't do the touch to lock with the key still in the car, so I use my fob and lock it. So I know I locked it. I go in and do my appointment. It's a quick one, like 10 minutes. Which was odd, but not anything I even thought twice about at first. It was a follow-up on results and just had to be in person. I go out to my car and get in. It was oddly hot, so before I even shut the door, I start the car. As soon as I shut the door, something fell from above me to my lap. It was blue as it passed my face. I assumed it was a little note. My husband likes to leave me little notes that I'll find at random. Maybe it was a post-it note that I hadn't seen on my visor and my messy bun snagged it enough to knock it down when I got in. No. There in my lap was my debit card. The one that I put in my wallet earlier, and I only have one. I sat there for a moment trying to figure out where it came from. I checked my wallet thinking maybe I grabbed my husband's debit card earlier, but there was no debit card in my wallet. My visor was down from driving earlier, so it wasn't like I weirdly stuck it there and forgot. I've never stuck anything in the visor of my car anyway, so that would be way off. I know it came from above me because I watched it fall. My wallet was where I had tossed it, and nothing was disturbed in my car. Like, my glove box wasn't rummaged in like someone had broken in. I hadn't done anything different than normal that day, and I've done the same things multiple times since. Like moving a card from my husband's wallet to mine, disconnecting my keys and wallets, tossing the wallet in the middle, starting the car with the door open. It hasn't happened again. I think about it every time I get in the car now. How did it get out of my wallet and above me? Why did it do that? Where was it hiding before I got in? And did it just poof into the air and fall into my lap? I really don't like not knowing how it happened. I don't know if this is the most interesting story or even the craziest thing that's happened to me, but it certainly freaked out the people involved for a while. This happened about 2 years ago around Christmas time. It was around 10:30 p.m. The girl I was dating at the time lived way out in the country in a small town. We're talking less than 2,000 people. She worked about a 45-minute drive away and didn't drive, so I picked her up when she was off. The road was simple. Although it was twisty and turny with lots of hills, you just followed the road to get there and back. Only 3 turns. I picked her up and we were driving back. At one point, you have to drive through a military base. There's a really large hill that you go up first, and as we were driving up that hill, I looked to my left and noticed a house with Christmas lights hung up. My first thought was that it was strange that they had lights up in the base. And then it occurred to me that there were no houses on the base, at least none visible from the road. The house was also very overgrown, to the point that it would be difficult to get in the door with all the trees and vines and tall grass. It was also behind a chain link fence. It was so close to the fence that porch was only a foot or two from touching the fence. The fence was probably about 6 foot high, with no gate. I pointed it out to my girlfriend, and she thought it was weird too. We got to the top of the hill and realized we were nowhere near the base. We ended up on a small back road miles away from the base. Discussed it with some friends when we got back, who said that we must have just taken a wrong turn. The next day, in the daytime, we checked out the route, and it couldn't have happened. We would have had to turn a good 5 miles early to get to that road, and it didn't have the giant hill that you go up before the base. I know that I didn't turn early. Like I said, it wasn't a complicated trip. The turn toward the base is very easy to see at night because there's an old building on the corner with an obnoxiously bright blue light. The turn that we would have had to have made to get on that back road has no lights. I also wasn't tired or zoning out. The route was notorious for lots of deers being around who would jump out. The speed limit was low through the base, and you had to be careful of other drivers as well due to not being able to see over the hill. You had to be alert. So, still not really sure what happened there. Yesterday, I experienced one of the strangest things. I went to yoga like normal, and when I came home, I freaked out because the front step leading up to our house was clear off. Like huge gaping hole, top step right before our front door. I'm getting married this weekend in a backyard ceremony, so I've been trying to clean and sort everything to the highest degree. Immediately I thought, oh crap, now we have to replace this huge missing step before the wedding. I ran inside and called out for my fiancé, asking if he noticed the missing step. He was so confused and said, yeah, it's always been missing. We moved into our home 3 years ago. I've probably passed over that step thousands of times. I'm a keenly observant and astute person with fantastic memory. I'm 100% positive that step was there before. I was so shocked that I had my fiancé pull up photos of the missing step to prove me wrong. To my surprise, there were such photos with the step missing. My jaw just hit the floor. This coincides with another strange event yesterday where I was looking for candlesticks that I need for our wedding. I'm positive they came in 2 separate boxes. Then, when I went to pick them out and organize everything, the candlesticks all consolidated into one box. I literally was looking at the 2 separate boxes the day before. Same thing happened a couple of weeks ago when I went to my yoga class. I complimented the owner on his new sign right as you walk in. He too was confused and said, "What? It's always been there. Leading up to the wedding, I've been doing an incredible amount of energy work, including meditation, visualization, rituals, self-concept, and cleansing. I also had a huge tower moment with my family last week, cutting them off after they crossed hard boundaries for me. It's something I've never been able to do before. As a result, I changed phone numbers because they decided to kick me off the family plan without warning, which is fine. Still, it's all pointing to some kind of timeline jump. I don't know, the missing step was absolutely crazy to me. I've also been seeing repeated numbers just constantly. I feel like somehow the energy behind our wedding is rapidly magnetizing new events and timelines. It feels palpable to me right now as a sensitive person. Do these instances seem like a jump? I've never experienced anything like this before in my 30s. Okay, so me and my two friends were playing Monopoly until like 5:30 in the morning yesterday. We have night schedules, so this is a normal time for us. Me and my friends, whom we'll call Samantha, were losing to her boyfriend, whom we'll call Tim, okay? So Tim rolled the dice, moved his piece, and then proceeded to land on a yellow property to buy it. We did not hand him the yellow property card, and he did not pay, as Tim immediately got up to go to the bathroom and said that he would buy the property but needed to pee first. He gets up, and while walking out, Samantha proceeds to look for the yellow property card so she can give it to him when he comes back. She can't find it. I can't find it either. We both get up. I'm looking under the couch. We're looking everywhere. We lifted the board. We checked everything. Between the cushions, under the pillows, and we just couldn't find it. And then, just as Tim starts walking back into the room, Samantha looks over and goes, "Oh my god, he already has the card." And then he sits down and goes, "Yeah, you gave me the card before I went to the bathroom." Me and Samantha look at each other and we're like, "What? We didn't give you the card yet. We've been sitting here looking for it." He then gave us the money for the property, as he knew he still needed to pay for it. Samantha and I looked at each other and our eyes widened. We both were like, what the hell just happened? We know for a fact we did not give him that card yet. Tim swears up and down that we gave him the card before he went to the bathroom, and Samantha and I swear up and down that we did not give him the card, which we indeed got the money for after he came back, so he wasn't trying to cheat in any way either. I looked at Samantha and said, "Girl, we just jumped timelines, because there's no way that this just happened." What do you guys think? Do you think we could have jumped? Again, being up till 5 is normal for us, so sleep deprivation was not a factor. For context, I've lived in this old farm town for the last 4 to 5 years. A lot of the properties have been in their family since it was a plot of land that they built their house on, at the start of the town, or soon after, and they still have acres of land. Very old bones here. There's one road to get to my house, and it's on a hill this family has owned for many generations. I drive by this house nearly every day. If I leave my house, I'm passing this property, and I bring my kids sledding on this hill in the winter. One day, on my way up the hill to my house, I see this sign at the bottom of their hill. It was an old, worn wooden sign that had been carved and painted with Bennett Hill, and has rusty, worn stakes holding it into the ground. Looks like it's been there for years. And there was a small part of me that was like, huh. But to a bigger part of me, it just made sense. Like, I've seen this sign 1,000,000,000,000 times, and have always known the name of this family and their hill. but I couldn't shake that was new feeling. I sometimes have issues with my memories, so maybe I'm tripping? Maybe my ADD? It just felt off and not something I could pin on my existing issues. The next day, on my way down the hill, I make a point to slow down and really check for this sign. It wasn't a small sign. I couldn't miss it driving by. There was nothing but some broken off rusty bent stakes in the ground in the same place I had seen the sign the day before. There was definitely this sign there at one point, but not anymore. And not any time recently. I mentioned this to everyone in my family. My husband, my older kids. Was there a sign? What's the family's/hill's name? Nothing. Not a clue. They've never seen any sign or family marker of any sort. Didn't even know the name. It was always just the hill. Their name is, in fact, Bennett. And that hill is called Bennett Hill. I had to confirm this with the longtime resident of the town before I went crazy. I never asked about the sign directly, just the names. I didn't want to come off as crazy. I saw that sign, clear as day. It was right there. It was worn and everything. This town has some really messed up roots. I'm surprised that the sign is the first trippy thing that's happened. I'm hoping that posting this will slow down how much this has been haunting me. It's been like a year. It's just a sign, but that was the trippiest thing ever. It was there, and then it had been clearly gone for years. I had something happen recently that has been driving me nuts. I was helping my folks go through some of my old toys from childhood to determine what to donate and what to keep. And I stumbled upon this TRex toy that I was really fond of as a kid. This TRex toy is a very specific toy. It's a 1990s Imperial light-up TRex. This thing is hefty. Almost a foot tall of hard plastic that's neon green with a voice box in the chest. That when you push the red button on its chest, it roars. Definitely giving bootleg Godzilla vibes. Now, this toy has its share of wear and tear. And at one point, my childhood dog got a hold of it some years ago and chewed the foot off from its leg. Being a favorite toy, my dad put the foot back on by running a screw through the bottom of the foot up into the leg to keep it in place. Now, I definitely chose to keep this bad boy, and I packed it up and took it home. I'm almost in my mid-30s, and I wasn't about to donate this integral part of my childhood. So I packed it up into my closet back at my own place, almost an hour away from my parents' place. Now, I had forgotten about the toy in the past few weeks, until the event in question. My partner and I were out visiting my folks and decided to take a walk around a park nearby their place. While walking around this park, I spot something in the grass near a t-ball field. I kid you not, it was the TRex toy. Not only that, it has the screw up the leg just the same as mine. My partner thought I was crazy when I tried to explain why I was so freaked out by it. I took it home to compare it with the one that I took home a while back, and it wasn't in the box, despite me distinctly remembering packing it up and taking it home. I asked my folks if there was a chance I may have left it behind originally, and they also remember me packing it up and leaving with it. Yet it's not here. And that doesn't explain the park. How did it get there? I guess it's possible that it's a different TRex, but it's the same model and same leg repair. It just doesn't make any sense. Things have recently started multiplying, and it's baffling. Let me start by saying that I have an immune disorder which makes me sensitive to certain things. There's only one certain type of deodorant that I can use. I order it in bundles of 6 from Amazon. I had run out and had to buy the spray kind until my order arrived. A friend of mine was with me when I purchased the spray. Fast forward a week and I had given my grandson one of the deodorants, as it is unisex, and I had taken it out of the package as well, which would have left 4. I stepped out of the shower a couple of nights ago and my deodorant was gone. I checked both bathrooms and noticed that my grandson's was gone too. I searched everywhere except for my garage. I walk into my garage thinking that, all the while, there's no way in the world I would find it there, but I was desperate. To my surprise, there was the bundle of deodorant sitting on a shelf, and it had never been opened. All 6 sticks of deodorant were still tightly sealed in the plastic wrapping. The next day, the other 2 were found. One in the downstairs bathroom and one in the upstairs bathroom. I now have 8 sticks of deodorant. My order history on Amazon still shows that I had purchased a bundle of 6. Yesterday I was taking a medication, and I dropped it, and it went under my coffee table. When I moved the table to pick up the tablet, I found 3. Everyone was confused who had witnessed it. I recounted the meds in the bottle, and now there are 2 extra. It's a once-a-day medication, and is prescribed 30 at a time. My friend and I were sitting on my porch and watched my neighbor across the street get into his car and leave. He honked and waved at us as he drove away. I stepped inside to grab a soda, and when I went back out, my friend asked if my neighbor had a twin. I said no. He pointed at my neighbor's house, and there he was, sweeping off his carport. The car was gone, but my neighbor wasn't. So, a little bit about me. I want to maintain anonymity, so I'll just say that I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't want to say which casino I was in, and there is a reason for that. This is the second time I had a glitch happen while this particular dealer was dealing. So, for that reason, if that dealer somehow has power that he will not be aware I noticed. I'm holding Jack Queen. The flop is 10-10-9. Because I'm open-ended, I'm hopeful to improve to the straight. So the turn comes out and it's a 7. Great. We both check. The river is a 9. I now have 2 pairs with a Q high kicker. He table pockets aces for aces and 10s, and I table my hand. I've got nothing. I missed, I say, and then flash my JQ. Without missing a beat, one of the players says, "You have a straight." And I'm certain that I missed because I was watching the cards. I glance back at the board, and the river is in fact an 8. I enjoy poker, and I know what I saw. That card changed. Nobody seemed to realize. I double-checked my hand before my action and checked on the river in front. I missed. It changed. Not while I was looking at it, but when I looked back, it had literally changed. Do you think there are people out there with some kind of power? Is it coincidence? I wasn't drunk or high. The first time I noticed the same dealer glitch is when 2 players were all in a tournament. A player made a straight and everyone saw it and commented on it. But by the river, one of the player's hole cards had shifted a value down, destroying the straight. This seems to happen when people's eyes move away from the cards in question. Even the dealer thought that the player had made a straight before double-checking. That time I was influenced by a substance, so I chalked it up to just being high and not seeing the card right. But this time I was completely sober. I did not win the tournament. I did, however, win an unnatural amount of hands in the 30 minutes this dealer was on the table. Have you ever experienced cards changing their value after being dealt face up? So that, my friends, was this week's second collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. Stories about the strange, weird, bizarre, and awkward things that happen in our existence. Subcategory of supernatural stories where things are just not what they seem. No. Hopefully you enjoyed this collection of stories, some weird ones. These were actually all from Reddit. Well, no, that's a lie. There was one from Reddit. My apologies, one that was submitted to me. These were 9 out of 10, so 90% from Reddit this time around. I went recently and did a big request for stories from Reddit, and a good number of people responded and said I could use their stories, which is awesome. I always appreciate people that do that stuff, that allow me to use them. I never use a story from Reddit without permission. I've never done that and never will, because it's not the right thing to do. It's also considered copyright infringement. It is theft of copyrighted material because Reddit has a policy that states you own the copyright to all material you post to Reddit. So, I don't know why I explained that, other than I wanted to. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this Glitch in the Matrix collection. Again, the second one of this week. I have 2 again planned, one more time this month, probably next week, maybe the week after instead, depends on what happens. I have glitch stories for the 6th. I'm missing them for the 9th and 13th, though, so I may not be able to do another second one next week. If not, I'll do the Strange Things next week and then do a second one on the 16th instead. We'll see how that goes. We'll figure it out. Yeah. If you did enjoy the stories, please do consider liking the video. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, consider subscribing. You can also leave me a comment down below with your thoughts, which one stood out to you the most, which one you liked the most, which one you thought was the weirdest. Or, of course, if you have a story you want to send in, go to astheravendreams.com or email it to astheravendreams@gmail.com. If you choose to go to the website, there you can find my podcast and other platforms in longer format. You can also find all my social media pages where you can follow me if you so choose to do. If you choose to do so. Whatever I'm trying to say. There's also my fiction stories that I've written there. A lot of them are posted there. And you can also join Patreon memberships to get early access to content like this and other things, depending on how you sign up and which you sign up for. And at this point, there's just too much for me to talk about by the end of the videos. I don't even know anymore. Yeah. All that said, friends, hope you're having a lovely week, and I hope I see you again here very soon. But until I do, remember that you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you are the bestie that you can be, don't forget it. Until next time, much love, and sleep well.